Hi, it's Mike Delsignore, Massachusetts OUI lawyer. Today's video, I'm going to focus on what happens if you're arrested for OUI and your case is going to be heard in the Brockton District Court. So Brockton District Court, that would be an arrest from state police. Bridgewater, East Bridgewater, West Bridgewater, Whitman, Abington, those towns all go to Brockton District Court. Brockton is a court where your first court date is going to be your arraignment date. You're going to be in session 7 is the arraignment session. Brockton generally calls the arraignments right around 9 o'clock. It's unusual. Most courts, you're not going to be heard until 10, 11, but they move pretty quickly in Brockton. After the arraignment is when you're formally notified of the charges. It's not a trial. The officer's not going to be there. They're going to enter a not guilty plea, give you a further date to come back for what they call pre-trial. So you get some of the evidence. You get the police report at the arraignment. And then in your next court date is when you'd get the video evidence and additional evidence to fully review the case. So keep that in mind. First court date, step 1, arraignment, enter a not guilty plea. Next court date, pre-trial. My approach to handling OUI cases is to hopefully fight the case to help you win the case, avoid an OUI conviction. But in this video, I'm going to go over what's going to happen to your license, the options, types of pleas, and how I handle and challenge field sobriety test and breath test evidence in court. So first of all, if you refuse a breath test, you're looking at a 6-month suspension. After 6 months, you can get your full license back. Now, you can't get a hardship on the 6-month suspension unless you resolve the case. So if the case is pending, you're going to fight it, you're not going to be able to drive. There is technically an appeal of the refusal. I would not appeal that on a first offense. You might get an additional license suspension. So practically speaking, if you're going to fight a first offense OUI, you're not going to be able to drive for about 4 or 5 months. The reason I say 4 or 5 and not 6 is because if you go to trial and get a not guilty verdict, there's a presumption of reinstatement. So there's a possibility you could get your license back a little early, but it's going to be close to the 6 months. So the benefit of refusing is that it's a weaker case. The case is very subjective. There's no objective evidence. So it's going to rely entirely on field sobriety tests, officer observations. The downside is you're going to have to figure out a way to get to and from work, get kids to school. I get that. I'll move the case as quickly as possible, and hopefully we can have you found not guilty. Let's say you can't go anytime without driving. You just need to get back on the road, or it's not a good case. Then if you resolve the case, you can get a hardship license. It's quicker if you can get a letter from work. If you can't get a letter from work, there's a process to go to the appeals board, but that's going to take a little bit of time to get to the appeals board. It used to be a long wait. The wait's significantly reduced, so it is possible you'll get back on the road prior to the 6 months. But if you resolve the case, they're going to tack on another 45 days. So hopefully you refuse the case. You're going to be able to fight the case and win and be found not guilty of OUI. If you took a breath test and failed, now you only lost your license for 30 days. You get your full license back after 30 days. Request a hearing immediately so you don't have to wait. You can get it back on day 31. If you wait day 30, you're not going to drive until another 2-3 weeks. So if you took a breath test, those test results don't always come into evidence. So in a lot of my cases, I've been able to get breath test evidence excluded from evidence, so it's not considered by the jury. So you can still win your case even though there's a breath test. There's errors that the officers make. There's procedures that must be followed. Often they're not followed, and these tests are not scientifically reliable. There's reasons why your BAC might be off. The machine is making assumptions about you, about your blood-breath petition ratio, your body temperature, and they don't necessarily apply to you. So consider fighting the case. I handle breath test cases and win them all the time. I've had a lot of not guilty verdicts with breath test cases in Brockton and in courts throughout Massachusetts. So what do you look for when you decide whether you're going to go to trial or resolve a case? So what I'm looking for is, what is my best defense in the case? I'm going to review your entire case and find our focal point. Is it the driving? Is it the field sobriety test? Because if there's minimal erratic driving, that's a strong case for you. It's okay if they say you committed a marked lane violation. Usually there's more driving that I can bring out through cross-examination to show this was really temporary. You might have been looking at your phone, but ultimately you weren't seriously driving like somebody who was drunk or under the influence. Field sobriety tests. Now, they're going to always say you failed, but I'll look at the tests and show you all the things you did right. So the report, when you read it, you're probably not going to see it the same way I will, as somebody who's handled hundreds of cases, understands the office's training. I'll give you a better perspective so you can make the best decision for yourself on how to handle the OUI case. And that's really my goal. When I help somebody out in OUI, I'm trying to help them make the best decisions for themselves, giving you my experience, my expertise, telling you how things go in court, because realistically, there's not a huge difference between taking the plea offer, which is a continuance without a finding, and if you lost after trial. So the QOF, while it's technically not a conviction, on a first OUI, judges aren't punishing people for going to trial. So you can fight the case, and the outcome is not going to be too much different for most people. So if you have questions about an OUI in Brockton District Court, call, text me anytime. I'll go over your report, review your options. 781-686-5924. My name is Mike DelSignore, here to help you. Over 20 years experience helping people. OUI cases. I've been recognized by the National DUI College for my work on OUI defense. Won several awards, teach other lawyers this, and I'll be happy to share all that experience with you to help you decide how to handle your case in Brockton District Court.